reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
All right, what's going on, everybody? A very happy Monday. Thank you, everybody, for being here. It was certainly an eventful weekend for myself. I'll definitely get into that. But there's a lot of serious news to talk about today. And thank you, everybody, for being here. We're on the YouTube Super Chat. Of course, we're on the Occupy Democrats Network, the Washington Press Network. We're everywhere. And we appreciate you being a part of the program. Why is it on the YouTube page? It looks like I'm yellow. Everything is yellow. That's very, very strange. I don't know. I'm not liking the color tint on the camera, but that's okay. Just for everyone out there, if you don't know, my skin is very white. But for whatever reason on the on the YouTube camera, I'm extremely yellow today. It's very interesting. Anyway, what's up, everybody? I had a very interesting weekend. We have some very special guests joining us today. Gloria Allred, attorney Gloria Allred, is going to join us at the bottom of the hour. She's representing several victims in the Puff Daddy stuff. So we're going to be going over the case with her and talking with her about that. Gloria Allred joining us at the bottom of the hour. Dr. Darcy Merritt's going to be joining us here in a few minutes to talk about Joe Biden with cancer, diagnosed with cancer. Obviously, very sad. It's reached bone. I'm not a doctor, but that's obviously not very good. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Just quickly before we get to some news. It's hard for me to get right into the Joe Biden story. We will in a couple minutes. I went to EDC over the weekend, and I wasn't having a great weekend. Some ups and downs, and I wasn't feeling great, and I got dragged out to the EDC. It's called the Electric Daisy Carnival Festival. I posted some pictures on social media. Very interesting, but not my thing, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of very attractive people there, particularly women. But just was not my thing, and I went in looking like Hugh Hefner, wearing my robe into EDC. I know a lot of people are like, "What? Really?" Yeah, I did. Maybe I'll post that on YouTube or something eventually. But it was music that I hate. I just don't like raves. I never liked it, and it was weird. There were 150,000 people out there, and I was one of them. Yes, that's right. I got dragged out. But if you want to see a picture, maybe I'll post it tomorrow. And maybe I'll get a little bit more deep into my EDC weekend. There's just too much serious stuff to talk about today. But I will talk a little bit more about my weekend and the ups and downs I had. We really, maybe a little bit later on in the show, I'll get a little bit more into it. But this is the most important news to talk about. And anybody that's got any compassion at all feels for the Biden family. Joe Biden diagnosed with cancer. And it appears as though it has reached his bone. It is not good. We hope he makes a recovery, but he's in his early 80s. I don't know. I wish the Biden family the best, obviously. But with that being said, there are a lot of people on the far right. I'm going to say a lot because I'm just going to call it for what it is. They're just despicable people. They're wishing him harm. They're not wishing him, well, because they don't like him, because they're a Republican. They're saying some horrible things that I'm not even going to say on the radio about Joe Biden. It's just terrible. It's just despicable stuff. And these people call themselves good, wholesome Christians. It really is disgusting. Well, one of those people are Senator Rick Scott, because there are conspiracy theories that are being thrown out there from the far right that, oh my God, the Biden family knew about this way before. The Biden family was covering this up. People in Joe Biden's administration is covering it up. It really is despicable, and it's disgusting, these right-wing conspiracy theories. And yes, Senator Rick Scott is one of them. Have a listen to what he had to say.
I hope he gets over this. But it doesn't make sense. I mean, we all get these PSA tests, and so it's hard to believe that this. But I hope he gets better. I mean, but it doesn't seem to make much sense that they wouldn't know it.
Yeah. Senator Rick Scott, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rick Scott. Well, let me tell this buffoon, who clearly has no medical experience and has no idea what he's talking about, and he's just taking more right-wing talking points, which is so pathetic, and it's so upsetting, and it's so ridiculous. So first of all, as far as the PSA test goes, when he says, I hope he gets better, 15 to 25% of prostate cancers can fly under the radar of PSA tests. So clearly, Rick Scott and all these MAGA Republican buffoons have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. Up to 1 out of every 4 people who have prostate cancer, it can go under the radar. So for Rick Scott to do that when he has no medical expertise and clearly he has no idea what he's talking about, and even when it's announced that Joe Biden has cancer, they want to come up with conspiracy theories, and members of the Donald Trump family, like Don Jr., are going after Joe Biden, and it is despicable. Another person is Representative Warren Davidson. Listen to what he said on Fox News about Joe Biden's cancer diagnosis.
Your reaction?
Well, stage 4 cancer diagnosis, particularly the kind that they're referencing, is a brutal diagnosis. I mean, I feel terrible for anyone that would go through that, even somebody who I really don't like much as Joe Biden, but it's a terrible thing for him and his family. So I hope he beats it. But look, I don't believe that they just found out Friday, but because they're not credible on anything they've done. And you highlighted it's kind of concurrent with this release of the Hur tapes, which frankly Congress subpoenaed, and Merrick Garland as Attorney General was in contempt of Congress. He had no problem holding everybody else accountable for contempt of Congress, but he wouldn't even comply with the subpoena. So, the whole thing was a big cover up, and I suspect that this cancer diagnosis is part of that whole scheme.
Yeah, well,
absolutely and positively disgusting. There is no excuse for this. It's disgusting. There is zero evidence to show that this was some sort of cover-up and that they knew he had cancer before. And the fact that this is the first thing that enters these Republicans' minds, instead of, geez, I hope you get well. Geez, I hope things are better. Now, let me tell you something. There is probably nobody that hates Donald Trump more than me. Maybe Melania Trump does. But if it was announced today that Donald Trump had cancer, and by the way, there's no comparison between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, the human being. There's just none. Listen, I have my issues with Joe Biden. Okay? I think it hurt his legacy. The fact that the man wouldn't step down months earlier and only gave Kamala Harris 3 months, that he had to stay in there, that was a big mistake on Joe Biden's fault. And I will always be upset at the fact that he did that, because I do think that Joe Biden is part of the reason why Donald Trump is in office right now. In my opinion, Joe Biden looted, in my personal opinion, his legacy was tarnished because of that. Doesn't mean he's not a good man. Doesn't mean I don't respect him. Doesn't mean I don't respect his family and his beautiful wife, Jill. That's not what I'm saying. I thought for the most part, Joe Biden was a pretty decent president, but forever will I be upset at the fact that his ego, and that's what I believe it was, his ego would not allow him to step down sooner. And I think it cost Kamala Harris the election. I think that was one of many reasons, but certainly that was one of them. But with that being said, we're talking about a man's life. We're talking about cancer. And the first thing that MAGA Republicans think about is, oh, well, listen, this was Joe Biden's family covering it up. Somehow this was a big Joe Biden cover up, and they knew that he had cancer and this and that. Listen, it's absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely despicable. And for anybody out there that says otherwise, and you're the one talking about conspiracy theories, and you're the one, talking about how they kept it to themselves and we all knew about it. Listen, the bottom line here, it's quite simple, at least in my opinion. And in my opinion, this is someone who's in his early 80s. This is somebody who has some health issues. Yes, is he the same guy he was, 5 years ago, 10 years ago? No, of course not. Of course not. I wouldn't say that. But the idea that somehow they hid the fact that the man has cancer is so despicable. There's no actual real evidence to prove that. But that's who these MAGA Republicans are. And, it's interesting because I went on my Twitter page just to see some of the comments that some of these people have made. And it's so despicable and it's so disgusting. And I want to read some of them to you because I want you to get a sense of exactly how despicable these people are. Listen, I got into it with Enrique Tarrio. I know we shouldn't be surprised, but, Enrique Tarrio said, "Why are you mad?" And then he made a homophobic statement in regards to Joe Biden. I go down the list of what some of these other people said. And, it's so disgusting. I don't even want to read them. But some people on social media said that he deserved it, that somehow he deserved to have cancer. Listen, it boggles my mind. It's grotesque. It's disgusting. And I don't even want to read all the comments because it's that bad. It's really that bad. So I wish Joe Biden the best. But to talk to us a little bit more about this, yes, she's happy to be back on the show. And I really enjoyed having her on a few weeks ago. She is a PhD, Dr. Darcy Merritt, joining us on the show to talk a little bit about Joe Biden's cancer. Dr. Merritt, thank you so much for being here. It's good to see you. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you, Brian. Thanks for having me again. And sadly, under these circumstances, but I'm glad to be on your show again and see you.
Yes, it's good to see you as well, Doctor. And what was your first reaction when you heard about this cancer?
It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking because I have a lot of respect for this man. And I think that it's not even debatable that he is one of our most positively consequential presidents we've ever had, at least in my lifetime. Obviously, people, some MAGA folks might take exception with that, but there's facts to back that up. There are receipts. And the man has endured trauma his entire adult life.
Yep.
Starting from, minutes before stepping into public office, losing his wife and baby girl. And it's just been series after series of traumatic experiences, including bouts with cancer and with family members. And so it's just heartbreaking. And it's more heartbreaking that people are, as I was saying yesterday, like, I wonder how long it's going to take for people to say something callous or mean. And I guess it didn't take very long.
No, it didn't. It didn't, Doctor. It didn't, Darcy. And, I was just talking about that, but these aren't just social media trolls, right? That would be obvious. We're talking about elected officials. I played audio from Senator Rick Scott, who's saying that he believes this was a cover-up, and they knew about this a long time ago. And yet I did just a little bit of fact checking on this. When it comes to prostate cancer, up to 25% of those who get PSA test, it flows under the radar. It goes completely under the radar. And then I listened to Representative Warren Davidson, who of course is another Republican, who said this is a cover-up. The cancer diagnosis is part of the whole scheme. These people are so despicable and they're so disgusting. And not only is there no evidence to prove what they are saying, it'd be one thing if there was some evidence to prove that. Like, for example, if there was a test that came out a year and a half ago and they kept it silent, that'd be horrible. But there's no evidence to prove that. And instead of just saying my thoughts and prayers are with the family, and like, while I didn't like Joe Biden as a president, that's irrelevant to this conversation. We hope he makes a full recovery. And I haven't heard hardly any Republicans talk like that.
Well, the hypocrisy is quite rich, right? And of all presidents, we know Joe Biden is one that trusts in modern medicine and science, as opposed to these other people. So if he had known about this, which clearly he didn't, this is just spin and lies, he would be getting treatment, is what I was told earlier today. And keep in mind, I'm a PhD, like Jill has a doctorate in education, despite Donald Jr. pretending that he thinks that Joe Biden's wife has a medical degree and should have diagnosed him. I don't think he knew. I think it snuck up on him. I absolutely think, given his experience with these issues in the past, he would have had all kinds of treatment early on. So it's just very sad, and we're focusing on the wrong thing. What we need to be focusing on is being kind to this family, honoring the legacy that he has given to this country, and all hope's not for lost, right? So this is treatable. We don't know what's going to happen. We should not speculate. Is it dire? Is it scary? Absolutely. But we should not add to that anxiety that the man is already probably enduring, and of course, along with his wife and children. It's just terrible. And these people are just, you know what, Brian, I swear, it occurred to me the other day, I'm thinking maybe during Elon's quest to get rid of waste, fraud, and corruption, whatever he was doing with Doge, maybe part of that waste was all of the mirrors that the Congress people and cabinet members have. Maybe he eliminated all of their mirrors so they can't look at themselves in the mirror and be held accountable for their deplorable behavior. It's cruelty. And Joe Biden is the absolute opposite of cruelty.
Yeah, I agree with that 150%. Listen, I've had my criticisms for Joe Biden. I thought he should have stepped down much sooner. But with that being said, that's irrelevant to this story, at least in my opinion. Decent, good people, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on. And, Joe Biden was the first guy to pick up the phone when Mitch McConnell was having those freeze-outs. I know Joe Biden didn't always agree with Mitch McConnell, and certainly I didn't either. But Joe Biden picked up the phone and just said, "Are you okay? How are you doing?" How do we know this? Because Mitch McConnell talked about it publicly. And I think of the Paul Pelosi hammer attack, right? Mm-hmm. And I think of people like the Matt Gaetzes of the world, the Ted Cruzes of the world that weren't wishing him well. They were spreading conspiracy theories that it was some sort of gay relationship. And then when the police report came out, they didn't retract anything. And to me, it's very similar to this. And I think it's even more vicious with the horrible statements that are being made. And I think it just goes to show you, Darcy, that these are just horrible people. Let's be honest. These are just horrible people. You are a horrible person. If you heard that Joe Biden had cancer and the first thing that you did was attack the family and come up with conspiracy theories or wish him the worst, you are a horrible person.
Absolutely. But how did we end up with so many of these people with their hoods off being so horrible? That's what scares me the most, is that they're just out there and they're not even acknowledging, like, what are these people teaching their children? I don't understand. What are you teaching your children? How do you be kind? Like, Joe Biden is the example of that. Donald Trump is the opposite of that. And I don't understand how people can be so mean and just have horrible souls. There's never a time to talk poorly about somebody that's done good works for this country, but especially when they've been given such a horrible diagnosis.
But so I agree with you, Darcy, but even if you think that they've done bad things for the country, even if you thought that they were a bad president, right? It's still, to me, no excuse to be gloating and attacking the family during this very difficult time where Joe Biden in his early 80s was diagnosed with cancer that has reached the bone, which is not good. I mean, we hope he makes a recovery, but that's not good news. No. And the first thing that enters your mind is, oh my God, they knew about it. I mean, Laura Loomer, who I just think is a despicable human being. She goes on social media. She says, I told you he was dying. I told you. I've been telling you this for 6 months to a year. And I'm just thinking to myself, you are just an awful human being. She's trying to get clicks and make money off of nonsense.
Honestly, I don't understand how these people exist. Like, I don't know how how do you look at yourself in the mirror knowing that you are being so cruel? I mean, and then think about, nobody has any empathy. Was that taught to folks? Do they have any empathy? You are correct. Even if Donald Trump sadly got some horrible diagnosis, I would not wish the man ill will.
Right.
I just would not. Does he drive me bananas? Yes. Is he horrible? Absolutely. But I don't wish him ill will. And so only bad people wish others ill will.
If you're just joining us, PhD Dr. Darcy Merritt talking to us about obviously the announcement late yesterday that Joe Biden has cancer and it's reached his bone. Darcy, I think this is the fundamental difference in 2025 between most Democrats and Republicans. Maybe not all, but most. A lot of MAGA Republicans want to own the libs. They want libs to suffer. I believe some of them feel the same way about the trans community. Some of them feel the same way about the gay community. They want people to suffer that are not all in for Donald Trump. I don't think there might be some Democrats that feel that way about Republicans, but certainly not as many. A lot of liberals and a lot of Democrats that are in office do not want MAGA Republicans to suffer. They want everyone to get the health care that they deserve. They want everyone to have a fair shake, as they say. They want everyone to have a equal playing field, no matter what the color of your skin is or no matter what your gender is. I just feel like this is just once again, another example of MAGA Republicans and their despicable behavior, and another example of when people on the left show compassion. And I just think it's getting to a point now where are we at as a country when a former president of the United States who just left office several months ago, who by all my take on it is a decent human being. I might not agree with some of the things he's done, but Joe Biden's a decent man, as you mentioned, has suffered a lot of loss. And we're at a point in our country where there are so many people on the far right, not just people on social media. I probably wouldn't even be talking about this if there were just a bunch of Twitter trolls. We're talking about elected officials on the right that are calling this some sort of conspiracy theory that they knew about this all along.
Well, aside from most of these people being in a bona fide cult and the others who are not in a bona fide cult just being absolute cowards, I don't understand how they can even function with it, like behind closed doors with their own people. How do you justify that unless this has been going on and this is just how you live? And so the permission structure has been given by Donald Trump to be evil. He's given us a permission structure and to lie. And so his mantra should be, let's go ahead and accept people being evil. Let's be cruel, because the point is to be cruel, right? That's the whole point. Let's make others who we are threatened by, who we don't like, who we don't want to help because we have no compassion, we have no empathy. Let's make them suffer and let's make it as blatant as possible. And that's a permission structure. That's why you have, the hoods are off. People are calling little children the N-word. People are being sent to countries they don't come from with no due process. It's all distraction, but it's cruel. It's absolutely cruel. And he's got Kara Liar out there. I call her Kara Liar. And she's out there. I mean, it's just constant lying and gaslighting. And it's scary. It's actually scary.
Yeah, I'm going to play some of that audio with her press conference earlier today, a little bit later on in the show. It really is sickening and disgusting. Every single day she embarrasses herself on a world stage, but sadly, there are a lot of people that believe what she says. Same thing with Donald Trump. Without getting too much into detail, Darcy, because I know this isn't what you specialize in, but when I hear that this man, Joe Biden, has prostate cancer and it's reached his bone, that is not good. I mean, cancer is never good, no matter what phase you are in, obviously. But when it's reached your bone, I'm not saying, he can't get help with hormones, because that's what they're saying. He might be able to get help with hormones. But from my understanding, this is really bad, and this could be dire. And we hope that's not the case. But from what I've been hearing, it certainly could be.
No, I've heard the same. Now, again, I'm a PhD. I'm not a medical doctor. However, this is very bad from what I've researched and what I understand from the experts that are medical doctors. And his age also does not help. I can't imagine that the stress of having been in the government and being in public service, and then, being in charge of the whole country for so long and under attack from all MAGA at every other minute. Stress also plays a role in it. So I got to tell you, though, Brian, if anybody on this earth can beat such a thing, it's Joe Biden.
He's been through a lot in his life. And that's, for me, without getting emotional, but for me, that's what resonated to me with Joe Biden the most. When he talked about loss, when he talked about grief. Anybody who knows me knows I'm a pretty emotional guy. And when he talks about the car accident where he lost his daughter and his wife, I mean, I just can't even fathom. And then losing his son, Bo, to cancer, the loss that this man has had to experience in his life. And listen, we all deal with loss in different ways. We all deal with emotion in different ways. Certainly I do. But I just can't imagine the suffering that this man has had to go through with losing a daughter and a son and his first love. I just, that resonates with me when he talks about that.
Yeah, it's deep in his soul. And so he does know loss more than most people. He knows trauma more than most people. He knows adversity more than most people. And so that gives me hope for him in terms of his resilience to get through this. Now, as you said, it's dire for sure, particularly because of his age. However, he knows how to cope better than most of us. So we need to hold him up in the light. At least I'm going to be holding him up in the healing light so that he can be surrounded by love and, the best doctors that are available to him, and some peace. The man needs some peace. He needs to be left alone. He needs to not be disparaged and picked at by these evil, cruel people who want nothing but to do harm. And shame on them. Shame on all of them. And so one day they're going to find themselves probably in a pretty bad situation, and they're going to hearken back to the time that they were cruel to Joe Biden.
I hope so. I looked at, and I don't listen to this clown, but Charlie Kirk is just a horrible human being. And the name of his podcast today, the title of his podcast is The Joe Biden Cover-Up. We are talking not even a day. We are talking hours after the announcement was publicly made that Joe Biden has cancer. And the first thing that Charlie Kirk thinks about is getting clicks and making money. And most people on the far right with large platforms are doing the exact same thing today. They're not being compassionate. They're not being caring because they're bad people. And we talked about that. But that was the title of Charlie Kirk's podcast today. And before we let you go, what would be your final message to some of these people?
Well, just to go back to what you were just saying, how about this try this on for size? Why is it his responsibility, he's no longer president anymore, to share with us his medical records? We can't even get Donald Trump's true medical records for the whole time he's been on the scene. So why he doesn't owe us that? He could have been diagnosed, December 1st. We don't know that. I don't think it was the case because I believe the man. However, get out of his business and let the man heal.
I completely agree with you.
So my final thoughts are just that we need to push back on all of this, this cruel language and rhetoric that people are spewing out. And I think, as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to continue to talk about all of the good things that Joe Biden is and his family, and how he has given us an example of compassion and care and sensitivity and empathy in times of trouble. And so I'd like to prop that up instead of, all the other shit. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, Doctor, I'm so glad that, we met virtually and that you're a fan of the show and you won the contest to do a segment with me. And I just think you're awesome. You're the best. And I appreciate you very much. And I'm with you. I'm with you 100%.
I'm with you too, Brian. I adore you.
Thank you.
All
Thank you.
right.
Dr. Darcy Merritt, I always appreciate it when she comes on. Now, this is her second appearance. She is just great. We spoke over the weekend, and she's just awesome. And I certainly consider her a friend, and she will definitely come back very, very soon. Hopefully she's willing to, and I appreciate her so very, very much. So if you're just joining us, we're talking about, of course, the breaking news of Joe Biden with prostate cancer that's reached the bone, which is not good. Again, we'll probably get a little bit more information, but the best for Joe Biden right now is, in my opinion anyway, just spend time with your family. Life is so precious, and it's so short. And, we all learn that the hard way sometimes. So that would be my advice to Joe Biden. Now is not the time to be talking about Joe Biden and criticizing his policies. Now is not the time to be talking about Joe Biden, not stepping down earlier. I mentioned it earlier because I'm trying to come from a place trying to tell you that I haven't always agreed with the man, but I still wish him the best, and I care for him and his family. All right, so here's what we are going to do, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to take a quick break. Gloria Allred, very, very popular attorney, is going to be joining us here, and we will be getting to that. So let's take a quick break, and Gloria Allred will be joining us in 90 seconds. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part, every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at radioyou101.com.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Monday. Thank you so much for joining us. Ed Krasenstein is going to be joining us on the show tomorrow. He got a visit from the FBI just for saying 86-47. It's absolutely ridiculous. So Ed's going to be joining us on the show tomorrow to talk a little bit about that. I haven't talked a lot on this show about the Diddy trial. And as we're speaking, Carrie Morgan, she's a former friend of Casey Ventura, just testified to the prosecution in the trial. She says she saw Diddy assault Casey twice, claims both times he was sober. So that's an interesting development in this trial. And the lady joining with us right now, who I have a ton of respect for, has been involved in multiple lawsuits against Sean Diddy Combs. Of course, I'm talking about Gloria Allred, who is nice enough to be joining us on the show right now. Gloria, it's great to see you. How are you?
You too. I'm just great. Thank you. I'm here in New York City today.
Well, I know you're a very busy woman, so I always appreciate it when you take the time to join me, Gloria. It certainly means a lot. What do you make of these new developments? I'm just curious your thoughts. I don't know if you've talked about it yet publicly about Carrie Morgan and her testimony today, where it appears as though she's saying on the record, under oath, that she saw Diddy assault Casey twice when he was not drunk. Not that if you're drunk, that's an excuse for it, but what do you make of that?
Exactly. Well, as both the prosecution and the defense have said, this is not a case about domestic violence, but it does help to corroborate the allegations that were made by Cassie. This is a very, very especially serious case for Sean Diddy Combs because they're alleging conspiracy to engage in racketeering, and that would include the crimes of, they allege, sex trafficking, and it would have to be by fraud, force, or consent. So they're trying to show that she did not consent and that he didn't do this when he was under the influence of alcohol or narcotics. Now, this is really, though, not getting to the heart of it yet, because racketeering means that they're alleging, the prosecution is, that it's a criminal enterprise, Bad Boy Records and Sean Diddy Combs, that in fact, this business was a criminal enterprise, and the goal of which was to help Sean Combs satisfy his sexual desires and assist him, enable him to do that. So, for example, they have alleged that through her testimony, through Cassie's testimony, that sometimes her travel arrangements were made by Sean and Bad Boy Records. That, sometimes they cross state lines, although that's not necessary to allege sex trafficking. So there is more, and that, in fact, they're alleging kidnapping, arson. We'll have to see what the evidence is on that. Bottom line is, this is all happening now, but more evidence will be presented by the prosecution to try to prove that that was a criminal enterprise, that in fact his business did assist in sex trafficking of Cassie. We just don't have that evidence yet. So it's early. Right now, these witnesses, Dawn Richards and Carrie, are there to basically shore up what she said. It's a hard case. She is admitting that she was in love with him at first, that sometimes she was willing to do the sex trafficking because that made him happy. But, she could always say no at a certain point. And she was under the influence of drugs, ketamine, other drugs, MDA, so forth, many drugs, sometimes when she said yes. So it'll be interesting to see what the jury does.
It's interesting, Gloria, because you've gone after, some of the most powerful people that are just horrible human beings. And I think of this case, and I think of the Harvey Weinstein stuff, and I think of Bill Cosby, and I think about how long these powerful men have gotten away with this. For decades, they got away with this stuff. And I'm glad that they're finally, hopefully in this case, being held accountable. What do you make of that, Gloria? You've represented so many victims, so many women. What do you make of the fact that there are probably men out there right now that are not caught or no charges, powerful people that just treat women horribly? What do you make of that?
Yes, and I do have cases. I have two civil lawsuits against Sean Diddy Combs on behalf of two different clients. In addition, as to Harvey Weinstein, that retrial is taking place still in New York. My client, Mimi Haley, testified. I was here for that a couple of weeks ago. And in the first trial in New York, Weinstein was convicted of criminal sexual acts against Mimi, and he was sentenced to 20 years for that. But then that was reversed by the New York Court of Appeals, so that's why there's a retrial now. I think that, to your point, though, Brian, I think that there are many rich, powerful, famous men who are used to having everybody around them be yes people and not stop them from doing anything. But now this is what we call the reckoning. And in the reckoning, women who have been victimized are no longer going to be silent, and they're deciding to speak out or file lawsuits or testify in criminal cases. I know that I have them. I have confidential settlements that we've made with many rich, powerful people. You've never heard me speak about them because it's confidential. However, and it's without a lawsuit. But however, even a woman who enters a confidential settlement is always allowed to make a police report and testify in a criminal case if that case is being prosecuted. So right here, we see Cassie testified she got a $20 million settlement from Sean Diddy Combs. But she's still allowed to testify, even though
Right.
it was a confidential settlement in this criminal case, which proves
Yeah.
my point.
Yeah, that's interesting. If you're just joining us, by the way, attorney Gloria Allred, she's been involved in multiple lawsuits against Sean Diddy Combs. Nice enough to join us. Is there any credibility to maybe perhaps Jay-Z being involved? I know there was a woman that came forward and other celebrities or big name people that you're aware of that helped Puff Daddy do these types of horrible acts, allegedly. Like, do you think there's more people than we know of? And what do you make of Jay-Z's name being put into this for a time being? What do you make of that?
Well, I think that the young woman who alleged that he had done something to her, of inappropriate sexual conduct or criminal, I think she's retracted it at this point.
She has.
I don't
Yes,
know.
she has. She has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So as to whether there are any others, I can't speak to that. But I can say that the victims who are willing to testify are, and there'll be others, or who allege they are victims, very courageous, as was Cassie. I mean, 8.5 months pregnant, and she still was willing to undergo very vigorous cross-examination. So there are others who are coming forward. There will be people from his enterprise, his business, who will end up also testifying about what they observed, and those will be put on by the prosecution. There may be defense witnesses that he chooses to put on. Of course, no one who is being prosecuted must put on a defense. They don't have to. They can just sit there and say, "We rest. The prosecution didn't prove their case, and so we don't need to put on anything," and then see what the jury does. I doubt that will happen here, but I don't know.
Gloria, you've been involved in so many trials, so many cases over the course of your life. So I got to get your prediction of, do you believe that there will be a conviction here? And do you believe that Diddy will be going to jail for decades?
Well, if he's convicted, he could go to jail for the prison, actually, for the rest of his life. I never like to predict, Brian, what a jury will do, because I just think the jury's going to hear all of the evidence, and I want to respect the process, and they'll decide whether they think there's enough evidence to prove their case. We always know that the defense doesn't need to prove anything. They can sit back and, as I said, not put on a defense, but also they only have to get one juror to not agree to convict.
Right.
And then there's a mistrial, and maybe he'll get prosecuted again. Maybe he won't.
Right.
I kind of doubt that there'll be an acquittal, but I don't know whether there'll be a conviction or not. We'll leave that to the jury.
We'll see. I guess getting off of the Diddy stuff, I wanted to ask you, just in general terms, I think it's maybe a little bit easier for a woman to come forward now than it was 10, 20 years ago, but it's still obviously extremely difficult. That's why I hate it when people make the argument, why didn't you come forward right away? You and I both know very well there are so many different, very real reasons why a woman doesn't come forward right away. But what does it say about where we're at as a country right now, Gloria, where you have a guy that's the president of the United States who is a liable abuser? 25 women have come forward accusing him of abuse, including his ex-wife, in a deposition in court documents. As you can see, it gets me frustrated just talking about this. And somehow, almost half the people that voted for him, including women. What do you make of this?
Well, I think they took into account a lot of factors. And now we're all living with the consequences of the election. So we all have the power to make our voices heard. And then there'll be another election next year, but not for president, but it's what we call a midterm election. And those who do not like what he's doing have an opportunity to vote for Democratic members as to Congress, to perhaps get enough votes that they can, but then we can have a Speaker of the House of Representatives that's a Democrat.
Right.
And that will result in a lot of changes. And in states where there's a Senate run, like in Georgia with John Ossoff, there'll be an election there too. Bottom line is we have to change the balance of power.
Yes.
Who's in power? And
Yes.
we'll have to see what happens next year. But for now, we just have to get there and start supporting candidates who have an
Agreed.
opportunity to win next year.
Gloria, last question for you. As an attorney, for most of your life, when you see the president of the United States attack judges, members of the family, members of their family, if he doesn't like a Supreme Court ruling, defies it. For example, the Supreme Court ruling, which was 9-0, that they needed to facilitate this man Garcia coming back to the United States of America. We have a president of the United States. In my opinion, it's unprecedented, at least in my lifetime. I'm 45 years old. We've never had a president defy judges and attack them personally if they don't like a judgment against them. I mean, as an attorney, you've dedicated your life to this. What do you make of that when you see the president of the United States doing this?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, obviously we have to protect the Constitution. We have to protect the judiciary because actually at this point, the judiciary are what we call the brakes on the Constitution. In other words, there have been hundreds of lawsuits that have been filed against Trump. And in more than 200, he has lost before the courts. So we have to protect our judiciary. I actually just gave a commencement speech on Saturday, a couple of days ago, at the University of Washington, Washington College of Law, so law school commencement. And I had something to say to the lawyers, and to the law students who were there at their commencement about what they need to do. We are facing an oligarchy. We are facing corruption. We are facing authoritarianism. We need to get out there every day that we can to make our voices heard on the internet or in person in front of offices where they are not protesting some of the policies and actions that this administration is taking. So that's what we need to do. Everybody can do something. Just because you can't do everything doesn't mean you do nothing. Everyone should do whatever they can do in their own way, but everyone must do it now, not later. Later will be too late. As we saw what happened in Russia with Putin, those who thought they would wait, they had more time and they could speak out later. It was too late when they did it. So that's why I say I feel the urgency of now. And everybody should do it, not just lawyers. Don't pass it off to someone else. This country is in crisis. And as some have said, it's the land of the free and the home of the brave. But it's not going to be the land of the free if people are not brave.
Very true and very well said. Gloria, I always appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming on. We know how busy you are. Please keep up the great work. I admire you very much. And we will hopefully have you on again soon down the road, Gloria. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you.
My pleasure. Thank you, Brian. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Gloria. Good to see you. That's Gloria Allred, everybody. Always been generous with her time on this show. And I have a lot of respect for her, so much so. She's represented a lot of women who have been victims of assault. And I think what she said was very well put in regards to our Constitution. We got a little bit of information on the Diddy trial and the new testimony from today. Carrie Morgan, if you don't know, she's a former friend of Casey Ventura. She testified to the prosecution in the trial today that she says that Diddy assaulted Casey twice when he was sober both times. So that is some interesting news. She took the stand earlier today in the sex trafficking trial in New York City. So that is some interesting news that we got from her on that. And Gloria will join us back on the show again very soon. I do want to play you some audio from Caroline the Liar Levitt. Now, why am I playing this audio for you? Well, because a lot of stuff transpired over the weekend. Apparently, allegedly, Donald Trump had a conversation with Vladimir Putin today. We don't know how that went. I can't imagine we're going to get a transcript from that. But I will tell you this. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered, and then there's a lot of answers that are dishonest and lies. So we were told by Donald Trump that he won't raise the debt, right? We were told by MAGA Republicans they're not going to raise the debt. And this is the way that Caroline Leavitt answered that question as far as the debt limit. Have a listen to Caroline the liar Leavitt and the fake Christian in action.
Just a quick follow-up. Is the president okay with this bill adding to the deficit?
This bill does not add to the deficit. In fact, according to the Council of Economic Advisors, this bill will save $1.6 trillion. And the president absolutely understands and hears the concerns of fiscal conservatives and of Americans who want to get our fiscal house in order. That's what the intention of this bill is. There's $1.6 trillion worth of savings in this bill. That's the largest savings for any legislation that has ever passed Capitol Hill in our nation's history. The next bill that even comes close was $800 billion. That's less than half of the savings that we see in the One Big Beautiful Bill. And so the goal of this bill is to produce economic growth, to cut taxes, and to get our fiscal house in order. And this is the right step in the right direction towards doing that.
Really? Well, you see, you won't hear this on echo chamber right-wing radio or TV, but let me just give you the facts. She says this bill is going to save us $1.7 trillion. Oh, there's one fact check that I want to throw in there. They're seeking to increase the debt limit by $4 to $5 trillion over the next 2 years. It's all in the bill. How is that saving us money? Let me repeat that one more time so the people with the MAGA wax out of their ears maybe can understand. When Caroline Leavitt says this bill is going to be saving us $1.7 trillion, they're increasing the debt limit by $4 to $5 trillion over the course of the next 2 years. That's not hearsay. That's not opinion. That's a fact. Caroline, the liar Leavitt, is lying to the American people, but that shouldn't shock some of you. Then there's Peter Douchey, as I like to call him. But he did ask actually one fair question. Putin seemed to ghost everybody in peace talks last week. And listen to Caroline Leavitt's response to that.
Two more things. Putin ghosted everybody at these peace talks last week. As President Trump phones him today to try to figure out an end to the Ukraine war, does he think that Putin is the good guy or the bad guy?
I'll let the president speak on that conversation later. He's made his feelings about both sides of this war quite clear throughout it. He wants to see it end.
Oh, he does. He wants to see it end. Remember when he said the war was going to be over in 24 hours? Remember when he said before he even got into office, all he needed to do was pick up the phone? Do you guys remember that? I remember that. And then last week he said, give it 2 weeks. Do you remember that? Well, we're approaching close to 4 months now. I just thought I would just remind some of my MAGA friends out there that Donald Trump campaigned on the fact that he would end the war within 24 hours, just like back in 2016 when he campaigned that he was going to hire a special prosecutor to go after Hillary Clinton. Never did that. When he said he was going to build a wall and Mexico was going to pay for it, he never did that. That there would be peace in the Middle East. That's not happening. In fact, you can make the argument that in the Middle East right now, it's worse than it was on day one when he took office. All lies. Day one, I'm going to lower inflation. I'm going to lower the gas prices. All lies to the American people. But if you listen to right-wing radio, they'll make it sound like he's doing a fabulous job and there's peace everywhere, which we know that there's not. Yeah, I'm sure that phone call with Putin will be released publicly. I'm sure that there'll be a transcript of that for us to see. Yeah, not, as they would say in Wayne's World. And then Caroline Leavitt is asked about the CEO of Walmart, who a few days ago said that because of these tariffs, the price for consumers is going to go up at Walmart. There's a lot of people that shop at Walmart. I'm not one of them, but there's a lot of goods you can get there at cheap prices. The CEO of Walmart said that prices are going to spike because of Donald Trump's tariffs. And she was asked this question, and the spinning is just incredible. Listen to this.
Children.
Thank you, Caroline. President Trump and his top economic aides have repeatedly said that Americans will not pay the cost of tariffs. In fact, last week, Lutnick said people have to drop the, quote, silly arguments that consumers would pay the cost. But over the weekend, as you know, the president posted that Walmart should eat the tariffs and not charge the value customer anything. I'll be watching, and so will your customers. So does he acknowledge that if companies don't absorb the full cost, Americans will have to pay?
Well, first of all, the CEO of Walmart made those comments about the tariffs on an earnings call where CEOs, I believe, are legally obligated to give the most dire warnings and forecasts to their investors and stakeholders. The reality is, as the president has always maintained, Chinese producers will be absorbing the cost of these tariffs. And that is why China was so quick to hustle to the negotiating table with the United States of America. They need our markets. They need our consumers. And I would, again, point you to the inflation report that came out out last week, showing that inflation is declining, in large part because energy prices are dropping across the board in this country because of the president's robust energy agenda that he has taken since January 20th. So the president is committed to ensuring that prices remain low for American consumers, and he maintains the position that foreign countries will absorb these tariffs.
What does he mean by "I'll be watching" to Walmart?
He'll be watching, seeing what they're doing. Jennifer.
Yeah, I bet he'll be watching. Okay, so let me get this straight. You have the CEO of Walmart publicly telling the American people that they're going to be raising the cost of goods. And then Caroline Leavitt just said Donald Trump is doing all this stuff to make things cheaper for the American people. Does this make sense to anybody out there? I mean, if you have an IQ over 20 and you don't have MAGA wax in your ear, like, does this make sense to anybody? It's a blatant lie. It's ridiculous. It's the opposite. In fact, it's the American consumer that has to pay more. Oh, yeah. Speaking of paying, let's talk a little bit about that $400 million jet that I guess Qatar just decided to give to Donald Trump out of the goodness of their heart. Hey, listen, I'm sure they don't want anything in return. But now Caroline Leavitt's asked about it, and she's saying, no, it's not a donation and it's not a gift. It's just being given to the government, and you should change your story. Well, no, I'm not changing mine. But listen to Caroline Leavitt's response to this.
On the gift plane from Qatar, three things. Is there a timeline for the U.S. receiving that plane? Do you know how long it will take to retrofit the plane to presidential standards? And thirdly, has the intelligence community, security folks, have they weighed in on whether that plane can actually be secured to presidential standards?
I'm glad you brought up this question because I was watching the American press spew a lot of misinformation about the plane donation last week when we were abroad. Let's be very clear. The government of Qatar, the Qatari family, has offered to donate this plane to the United States Air Force, where that donation will be accepted according to all legal and ethical obligations. It will be retrofitted to the highest of standards by the Department of Defense and the United States Air Force. This plane is not a personal donation or a gift to the President of the United States. And everyone who wrote that last week should go and correct their stories, because this is a donation to our country and to the United States Air Force. As for a timeline, because it is the United States Air Force that is accepting the plane, I would defer you to them for specifics, because the president, frankly, has nothing to do with it. It's the Air Force's project to take on. Sure.
It's a donation. It's a donation, just like if we go and we donate to a soup kitchen. That's all it was. How nice of the people of Qatar. Is there anybody that frickin' believes this? Okay, it's just a donation. I'm sure they don't want anything in return. Are you kidding me? This is the same group of people that have donated to Hamas and other organizations like Hamas. These are the same people who are responsible for ending the lives of Americans in Iraq. And we are led to believe that out of the goodness of their heart, according to Caroline Leavitt, it's a quote-unquote donation. Again, if you're an extremely ignorant person and you wear the blinders and you're complicit and you're ill-informed and uneducated, let's be honest, that's much of Donald Trump's base, you're going to believe this. You're going to believe Leavitt that this was just a donation and they don't want anything in return. No reasonable person with an IQ of 20 would believe that. This is a joke. I don't think Donald Trump is going to fly this plane when he's president of the United States. You know what I think he's going to do? I think he's going to fly it when he leaves office. It's not going to be put in some library somewhere. It's not going to be, put up, anywhere for people to look at. It's going to be Donald Trump's plane. That's what I think. And by the way, it would cost billions of dollars for the Secret Service and the FBI and people to gut that plane and go through every inch of it. It would take literally billions of dollars to do that. I've talked to experts about this. It would cost more money to go through the plane and rip through the plane and to check every inch of the plane, which is exactly what you'd have to do, than actually the plane and what it's worth itself. It's so insane and ridiculous. Speaking of insane and ridiculous, I'm going to play one more piece of audio for you here. This is about as ridiculous as it gets. So the president just had a physical. And publicly, his last physical, it was proven that he is morbidly obese, which anybody could just look at the man's body. And trust me, I don't want to. Neither does Melania Trump. But you just look at the man's body and he's a slob, okay? So the president apparently just had a physical, and listen to the way Caroline Leavitt described how that physical went.
Follow up on former President Biden. White House doctors may have missed the early stages of his prostate cancer. So is President Trump worried about the quality of care that presidents get here?
Not as far as President Trump is concerned. The White House physician we have here is phenomenal, and the team of physicians that take care of the president, particularly at Walter Reed Medical Center, are great. The president had his physical recently, as you know. He had perfect results. He's in very good shape. I think those of you who traveled to the Middle East with us last week can attest to the president's endurance. And by the way, I will add, we returned home from a very long and tiring trip last week, and on Saturday, where was the president? In the Oval Office working all day. He doesn't stop. He doesn't quit. He's in great health, and he trusts his physicians.
Right.
Two more things.
Yeah, 35% of the presidency since he got into office, he's been out at Mar-a-Lago and he's been playing golf. That's number one. Is there anybody that could look at Donald Trump and look at his physique and would tell you he's perfect and he's in great shape? No, of course not. That is absolutely and positively a lie. If he's not on Truth Social and he's not playing golf and he's not hanging out at Mar-a-Lago and he's not taking lavish trips to meet up with the Saudis, as Jared Kushner receiving a $2.1 billion check from them, then again, he's in great shape, perfect. Is there anybody that would label Donald Trump in great shape? Anybody? Anybody? I think most people would agree if you have male breasts, you're probably not in great shape. I'm not talking about pecs. I'm talking about breasts. Has anyone seen pictures of him without makeup on the golf course? Has anybody seen what a slob this guy looks like? But according to Caroline Leavitt, perfect physical condition, perfect results. He's in very good shape, even though he's morbidly obese. How pathetic and how embarrassing. How pathetic, Caroline Leavitt, is this entire administration and the lies that they spew and the verbal diarrhea you get from them every single day. I'm going to be opening up the phone lines now. It's 702-221-7283. For those of you that are on social media, the best way to contact me right now is live on the show at 702-221-7283. Before I do that, before I take phone calls, I want to read some of your statements in the YouTube Super Chat. Tracy says, with much love from Canada to the Biden family. Thank you, Tracy, for your support. We certainly appreciate you for making a donation. Darcy Merritt, who just joined me on the show, she's a great supporter and she's awesome. Love y'all. What a wonderful community. Darcy, it absolutely is, and I'm so glad that you're a part of this wonderful community as well. Again, that number 702-221-7283, the number to call. D something, thank you for your support, says Rick Scott and Don Jr. are pathetic embarrassments to Florida. And I've just diagnosed Warren Davidson as a MAGA moron. My love to the Bidens. Well, I'm with you, D, and I certainly appreciate your support in the YouTube Super Chat. Thank you so much. Also, you can go to my website, pushingthelimits.live, where you can make donations on there. It doesn't matter what it is, $5, $10, $20 a month, whatever you can afford. We so greatly appreciate you. We also sell merchandise on pushingthelimits.live. So for anybody out there that wants to support what we do, we're an independently owned radio show. What does that mean for people that are not in the industry? It means I don't have a boss. I'm my own boss. I do and say what I want here. And by the way, the people at this station are great, but I own all my own content. I own everything. And so with that, I rely on good people like yourselves to help support what we do here, so we appreciate you. Again, that number is 702-221-7283. I'm probably going to get more into detail about my weekend and maybe get a little personal with some of you about the ups and downs of my weekend. I'll probably talk about that on the air a little bit later on this hour, but I do want to get to some calls, and if I don't get to that this hour, we'll have some fun with it, and maybe we'll have some fun early on in the show. Tomorrow. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Curtis. Curtis is first up on PTL. Hello, Curtis.
Hey, Brian, how are you?
Hey, good, Curtis. What's on your mind today?
Let me ask you a question. Does anybody really think that the government of Couture going to give somebody a $400 million gift and ask for something in return?
I'm going to give you the best answer I can. The same people that think Donald Trump won the 2020 election. The same people that buy the Donald Trump Bibles, the same people that buy his gold sneakers, the same people that are attacking the Biden family because Joe Biden has cancer, I guarantee you are the same people that think it's just a gift or, it's a gift to the government and they have no problem with it. Those are the only people that feel that way.
Well, it's a shame that people are still thinking that way, that Donald Trump lost, that he won the election in 2020. And it's hard to believe that you still got people out there that's willing to, say he didn't win.
It is unfortunate, but those are the same people why Donald Trump got into office. Those are the people that voted for Donald Trump. They believe anything he says. Can you imagine if Joe Biden received a $400 million gift, whether it was to the government or not, from Qatar? Can you imagine?
He couldn't come back. he couldn't come back to this country.
Right. I mean, they would impeach him. They would be leading it on Fox News. Every right-wing talk show would be talking about it. They'd be calling it corruption. So what do? They talk about Hunter Biden's paintings. They still talk about Burisma. But when Jared Kushner receives a $2.1 billion check, whatever you want to call it, not really a paycheck, from the Saudis, and when Ivanka Trump makes $500 to $600 million in Chinese trademarks, they certainly have no problem with that. But if Hunter Biden is selling a $10,000 painting, oh, they call that corruption. That's the country we're living in, my friend.
One more thing, Brian. What does MEGA stand for again?
Make America White Again.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, you got it. I guess that's Mawa. No, how do you pronounce it? It's MAGA. Mawa. Yeah, it's Mawa. Mawa. Make America. It sounds Hawaiian. All due respect to people in Hawaii. Make America White Again. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Fong. Fong is next up on PTL. Hello, Fong.
Hi, Brian. Hey, I want to express my appreciation to your show.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Fong. Thank you.
I have learned a lot from you guys. That's why I just want to call in to let you know that there are a lot of audiences out there who appreciate your show.
Thank you, Fong. Where are you from, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, Vietnam.
Vietnam. Awesome. Where do you live now?
Washington.
Washington, D.C.?
No, state.
Oh, Washington State. Okay, I got you. Well, I appreciate your statement there, Fong. Thank you so much for being a listener of the show, and I appreciate you calling in, my friend. Thank you.
Yeah. I've been watching your show every day, every chance I get. So keep up the good work, buddy.
As long as there are people out there like you listening, I'll be continuing to do my thing, Fong, and I appreciate you calling in, my friend. It's good to hear from you. Love the Vietnamese people. They are wonderful people, and I appreciate you. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the show. Why don't we go to Ian? If I'm not mistaken, Ian is next on PTL. Hey, Ian, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Yeah, hey, Brian, it's Ian. How are you?
Good. What's on your mind, Ian?
I hope you had a good weekend. I talked to you a few days ago. I'm just wanted to say I'm getting, psychotic with everything that's going on. I have friends, well, not friends, I have acquaintances that are MAGA supporters, and they're bullying me online. I live in LA. I'm taking care of my dad right now, who's 90 in Northern Cal.
Oh, God
but I've been
bless
in
you.
LA for 40 years, and I'm a musician. I started a clothing line in the 90s when Clinton was president.
Wow.
I started with 25 grand. I did 14 million in business, and I got these guys being very spiteful to me online, telling me I'm a libtard, saying this, saying that, telling my music sucks.
Well, let me give you some
getting
advice. First of all,
really
you sound like an extremely successful person, and God love you. You sound like a great son, taking care of your dad. Let me give you the best advice that I can give you. So for many, many years, as you know, I've dealt with a lot of trolls online. And, a half an hour will pass, an hour will pass, and I say to myself, that's an hour that I can't get back. So I laugh it off, and I don't even really care anymore. I laugh at these people. They're pathetic. They're idiots. They have no platform. And, you're a successful person. Keep in mind, many of these people, they have no other thing in life that makes them happy but just calling people names on social media and attacking people like you that are extremely successful. So the best thing that I would say to you is, you want to go on social media. If it doesn't bother you and maybe for entertainment purposes, you want to get into it with some of these people, fine, go ahead and do that. But I've learned that it's not necessarily good for your mental health. It's not good for your it's not. It's just not.
Yeah. Well, I started blocking some of these people and unfriending people that have been mean. But it's weird because a lot of these people are posting these memes, these pro, MAGA memes that they're pretending are news, like saying that RFK Jr. is doing this and he's not doing that. It's all this propaganda that's not actually correct. And I start getting frustrated, but I realize I can't really talk to these people.
No.
Because all they do is lash out at me.
Yeah.
And then I start to feel like I'm crazy, like I want to go back to LA and beat someone up.
Well, don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, but I realized last night, I'm like, why am I even giving these people an inch of my soul? I'm like, forget about it. Because they're really getting really mean, and I think it's because they know they're wrong. It's like a little kid who knows they're wrong, and they lash out. It's like they don't know how to control their You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I think you're right. I think a lot of them can't control their emotion. I think a lot of others are very ill-informed and uneducated. And then it comes down to white anger. And then it comes down to you throwing facts at them. I mean, you hear it on the show every day. And then they come back with an ad hominem attack. Now, sometimes I throw out ad hominem attacks when somebody disrespects me or when somebody refuses to answer a question or where somebody says something that's a flat-out lie. That's when I'm aggressive with them. But if you notice, I'm not aggressive with people that I disagree with. If we can have a good conversation, at least they're answering my questions, even though I don't agree with them. But I don't pay attention to those people on social media. My friend, before I let you go, there's some people on the YouTube chat that want to know how could they find some of your stuff. Where do they go online?
Well, I don't really want to give myself a promotion on your show.
Fair enough.
My clothing line was big in the 90s. It was the biggest streetwear line in the United States. It was called Blunt Clothing, and it was a bunch of cartoony characters. You probably saw it because you're of age.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
A lot of cartoony stuff. But I support your show.
Thank you.
And I hope you had a great weekend. And I want to do a shout out to everyone that's on Facebook because that's where I listen to you. And there's a lot of really nice, cool people on your Facebook. So thanks a lot, Brian.
Thank you,
I'll
Ian.
keep listening today.
I appreciate you, my friend. Ian, shoot me over an email. On the bottom of the screen, you'll see an email. I'd love to hear from you. Shoot me out an email if you have time, okay?
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Ian. Take care.
Okay.
702-221-728. I think I do remember that clothing line, by the way, when I was younger. Man, am I old, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not too old to go to the Electric Daisy Carnival Festival. Okay, I'm still young at heart. And by the way, there were some people there that were at least my age, okay? A lot of attractive people, a lot of good-looking people, and we had a lot of fun. I say we because there was a group of people, and we had a great time. And it was a lot of fun to get my mind off of other things that float around in my head sometimes. I'll get to that another show, but had a good time. So I'm not that old. 702-221-7283. Michael's next. Let's go to Michael. Michael is next on PTL. What's up, Michael?
Hey, what's going on?
How you doing, man?
I'm all right. Jesus, this is like the first time I've ever called in. I'm a mid-60s year old white obese male who is not a Trump supporter.
Good.
I was
good.
no, I was I was raised Catholic. I was the nuns were like were down in the trenches. They were like they took their vow of poverty seriously and all that shit. The priest was a different. Can
I tell you something, Michael, though? Michael, you sound like a really nice guy. You're not the type of person that would tell all of your friends and family that you're in perfect shape and perfect condition like Donald Trump, right?
No, I'm not in perfect shape. No, I'm the opposite of all that.
Well, but at least you're honest. But you're honest about it. Like if Caroline Leavitt went up there today, Michael, you tell me if you disagree. If she went up there in the press, if Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary, did a press conference, and if she said, "Well, listen, Donald Trump's morbidly obese, and we need to, have him eat better food. He's getting the help that he needs, but he's not in perfect shape. We all know that." I would at least have
respect for her.
At least I would have a little bit of respect for her. I still wouldn't respect her much, but they're saying it was. Is there anybody that thinks that a morbidly obese man who's almost 80 years old had a perfect physical? Is there anybody a man that has hairy male boobs? I'm sorry if I'm getting a little graphic there.
No, that's okay. I'm not going to criticize a morbidly obese guy that's old with male boobs. Guess what? I'm one of those guys. All
but
right?
that's okay because you're honest. At least you're honest about it.
I will criticize one who denies all that.
Right.
And says he's like the best. Look I only recently discovered your YouTube channel and I love it.
Thank you, Michael.
I think it's wonderful. I think you bring these. I don't know why these fucking.
Watch the language. Watch the language. That's okay.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
No, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I don't know why these people continue to call in and challenge you. I mean, you always bring it to the table. You have your receipts. You have.
Well, you know what, Michael? Some people like bondage. What can I say? They like to be whipped once in a while. Unfortunately, with many of the MAGAs that call in, not somebody that I really want to do any of that bondage with. But anyway, that's another story for another show. Thanks for the call, Michael. I appreciate you. Let's see here. Let's go to Kathy. Kathy is next up on PTL. Let's go to Kathy. Kathy, what's going on?
Hey, Brandon, what's wrong with bondage? Anyway, we're not going to get into that
No. I have an ex-fiance that was very much into that. So I learned. I'm probably giving out too much information, but I learned a little bit about that lifestyle. But that was like my ex-fiance. That was like 9 or 10 years ago, but she was into that stuff. Yeah, she was. She was.
Okay. Well, that's another time.
Yes, another.
place.
I agree. Another
Another
place.
story.
Yes.
Okay. But anyway, just when you hear about the wonderful thing that happened in Romania, that they rejected Trumpism, something else comes up and it slaps you right back in the face.
Yeah.
Ashley Babbitt getting that settlement.
Yeah, so I was going to talk about that tomorrow, but just for the sake of conversation, for people that are unaware what Kathy's talking about, our taxpayer dollars, $5 million, went to Ashley Babbitt's family. Ashley Babbitt broke the law that day, and she put herself in that position. I feel bad for her family, but families should not be rewarded for a child that, or, not a child, but, whether it's a daughter or a son or whoever it is, families shouldn't be rewarded for people that are breaking the law. And Ashley Babbitt's family is being rewarded for her stupidity. Let's just call it for what it is, and she did it to herself.
Yes, it's an insult to my father and my uncle who were Korean War veterans, my cousins who were Gulf War veterans, and it just, just irked me really badly. It just makes me so upset.
Oh, I think it irks. Listen, here's the problem, right? If somebody keyed a Tesla, which, by the way, I don't condone, Pam Bondi says you deserve 20 years in jail. And if George Soros, which I don't think he would do, but let's just say he raised like $10,000 for this individual to have a legal fund, MAGA Republicans would be losing it. For someone who keyed a Tesla, we're talking about somebody who broke into the Capitol and stormed the Capitol and was literally like 10 feet away from politicians. So
not only that, but she had an oath to serve this country, and she breached her oath.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Your phone, we have a really bad connection, my dear. I'm sorry, Kathy, but I hear what you were saying. It's very sad that she served our country, and she was someone that was a brave person in uniform, and then she was just radicalized by the MAGAs. She was radicalized. Thank you for the call, my dear. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Ray. Ray is next up on PTL. What's going on, Ray?
Brian, I want to talk to you about prostate cancer. I am a survivor. Sometimes prostate cancer is not picked up right away. That was my case. It was picked up, and 2 months later I had my treatment, which was removal. These, I don't want to call it, these rotten bastards out there that have no medical degree.
None.
And they're talking about it. If you've never had it or you don't have a medical degree, shut your damn mouth.
I said the same thing about COVID. I said the same thing about vaccines. I said the same thing about COVID. I say the same thing about medical stuff in general. You'll probably agree with me on this. MAGA people, they're experts when it comes to immigration. They're experts when it comes to COVID. They're experts when it comes to vaccines. They're experts when it comes to infectious disease. They seem to be experts when it comes to election integrity. All of a sudden, they're just experts when it comes to everything across the board, and they'll attack people with expertise. It could be somebody like a Dr. Fauci, somebody with 50 years of infectious disease experience, or they'll attack FBI members, some of whom said we've had the most free and fair election of our lifetime in 2020. They always seem to know everything, right? They're conspiracy theorists. They're all Robert F. Kennedy Jr. hacks are what they are, and they're dangerous to the country. These people are dangerous to the country.
Can I say something about Rick Scott?
Sure.
Okay, my late wife works for HCA, Hospital Corporation of America, in South Florida. She was a critical care nurse. She and a lot of the nurses put money into 401ks. All of a sudden, out of Tennessee comes Rick Scott, and he merges Columbia with HCA and turns all of their investments into paper, which is stocks.
Yeah.
They could not touch the money for 3 years. He is the worst rotten bastard of all of them.
Well, he is. I've always hated Rick Scott, and I know hate is a very strong word. I hate Rick Scott just like I hate Donald Trump. They're both despicable people, my friend, and they're both cowards on top of that, and I appreciate your call, my friend. Thank you. Number to call if you want to be a part of the show, social media or otherwise, 702-221-7283. Again, that number is 702-221-SAVE. Who are we going to next here? Let's see. Let's go to Kava. Kava is next up on PTL. Hey, Kava, what's going on?
Hi, Brian. How are you today?
Hey, good. What's on your mind?
So I've been listening to everything you guys have been talking about, and this whole situation with Donald Trump going after Joe Biden because of his cancer situation. It's I have family who's had it and who haven't made it. So this guy's a complete and utter jerk. He's a complete and utter buffoon. Anyone who follows him still,
Yeah.
you are an utter clown. You are an absolute buffoon. You cannot support someone who goes after cancer people. You're showing us who you truly are as a person, and you can go screw yourself, honestly.
That's my sentiment as
disgusting,
well. There's a lot
and
of
it's wrong.
people. You're right, Kava. I agree with you. There's a lot of people on social media, but it's not just people on social media, right? If it was just people on social media and a bunch of clowns, I probably wouldn't be talking about it. We're talking about elected officials like Rick Scott. And Don Jr. We're talking about people that actually have a large platform that are spreading blatant disrespect, hypocrisy. I wouldn't even call it hypocrisy. I would just call it despicable behavior. Anybody who is wishing bad on Joe Biden, and if you have nothing to, if you have something to say that's negative about somebody who just announced that has cancer, then you probably shouldn't say it. And people are saying it. And again, the hypocrisy and the conspiracy theories that, oh, Jill Biden knew about this. There's no evidence to prove that. They're just idiots, Kava. They're just idiots.
Right. And before I go, two things. First, number one, this is for any MAGA supporter who still supports Donald Trump. If you support somebody who goes after cancer patients or anybody in that general category, you are a complete clown. And two, anybody who's in Kansas City like myself, we're under a severe thunderstorm and tornado watch, so please everyone stay weather aware today. Just a heads up.
Yes, be safe out there, Kava,
yeah.
and I appreciate you for calling in. Thank you. Thank you so much. Let's go to Mark. Mark is next up on PTL. Hey, Mark, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hey, Brian. How are you?
Hey, doing all right. Hanging in there, man. Hanging in there. What's up?
How'd you like the weekend concert?
It wasn't really my thing. I'm not going to say I didn't have a good time. I did. I was around some nice people, and I think that helped. And the way I am and the way I live my life, and I need to get better at this, but when I have a lot on my plate, and over the weekend, without getting into detail, some people might know what I'm talking about. I've had a lot on my plate. So when I do, what I try to do is I try to be around people. I try to be around people that I really like, good friends, people that I trust. And I try to go out and try different things and try to enjoy things. And that was kind of how my weekend went.
Good people and good friends always make everything a lot better.
That is very, very true. And that's why I'm very tight with Don Jr. and Eric Trump. They're just wonderful people. I'm just kidding. Go ahead. I'm kidding.
Okay, here's my point now. A lot of people may disagree, but I know a lot of people are going to agree with me. What I'm saying is a lot of people stated that Ashley Babbitt got what she deserved. She broke the law, she asked for it, and she got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
My question is, why are we holding Donald Trump to a higher standard?
Well, I'm not.
Look at what at what he's done.
Yeah.
Deported children with cancer, deported American citizens.
That's true.
Steal money from people every single day. Told everybody that COVID is a Democratic hoax. Please inject maybe bleach into your body, where the poison control had 150% increase the day after he said it. He is grifting every day. He's destroying democracy. And when people, good people, come on and say, I really don't wish ill will towards Trump. I hope to see that they have a good life. I want that. No. You know what? You all can hate me. I want to see him have ill will, of him continuing to destroy this country, of him continuing to throw innocent people into a prison, the worst prison in the world that they're never going to get out of, unless a Democratic president gets in and threatens the president of that country. That's the only way those people are going to get out.
But here's the thing. He's not changing. You know that. He's not changing who he is. And we have to be prepared for it over the course of the next 3.5 years.
But what I'm saying is I have ill will towards him, and I hope he suffers, and I hope it's painful
I understand.
for the rest of his life.
Listen, I understand what you're saying, but here's the difference, okay? Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, tomorrow, it's announced that Donald Trump has cancer. I would not go on social media and gloat about it and be happy about it. Now, I might have some private conversations with some friends of mine, and I might say some things that I normally wouldn't say on social media or on the air. But we're talking about politicians and people with huge platforms. I would not do that because I don't think it's good for the country if you start gloating and happy about a president or anybody for that matter that has cancer. I would not do that. Would I have some private conversations with people that might be a little bit different? Probably. But I wouldn't be on the air the next day gloating about it, and I certainly wouldn't be on social media gloating about it, and I think that's the difference, Mark. But I understand where you're coming from. Thank you, Reaver, on the YouTube Super Chat, who says, between attacking Joe Biden, deporting kids with cancer, and defunding research, I think we can definitely declare the Trump administration is pro-cancer. Yeah, well, Reaver, you make a lot of good points there. Yeah, they did defund cancer research for children. That is true, actually. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. I think we're going to go to Glenn next. Did Glenn hang up? All right, we're going to take another phone call. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you'd like to be a part of the conversation. Let's see. Let's go to the MAGA Destroyer. It's always nice when we get Darlene on, known as the MAGA Destroyer. What's up, Darlene?
Brian, I don't even know where to begin this conversation. First of all, I am so sorry for President Biden and his family. And all the MAGAs that are saying something bad about him, screw y'all. You don't matter. So I want to get that out there first. But Brian, Caroline Levitt is a liar. And let me tell you the reason I know this. My husband works at Walmart in Oklahoma. He works in the automotive department. 4 days ago, his boss said, you better get to changing those prices. He changed prices in his area for 4 hours. Everything went up from $2 to $10. And that was in his area in the Walmart in Oklahoma. I don't know about anybody else's Walmart, but our Walmart, everything is going up. So she's a liar.
Of course she's a liar. You had the CEO of Walmart making a public statement on television saying that expect consumers are going to have to pay more money at Walmart. I mean, and then you have Caroline Levitt saying, well, Trump's doing everything he can to lower prices for the American people. I mean, it's just, listen, it's absolute BS and it's a lie. We all know that.
I'm sick of it. I'm sick of them. And I'm telling you, don't nobody say anything to me about Biden and his cancer, because I don't know what I would do. They just better keep their mouths shut. Because I'm sick of people. I'm sick of MAGAs.
I tend to agree with you. I'm more than sick of them. Darlene, it's good to hear from you. Thanks for calling in, my dear. I appreciate you. All right, let's try to get to some more phone calls here. Before I do that, on my website, pushingthelimits.live, Tracy just said, thank you so much for my beautiful new T-shirt. I love it. I've been asked many times where I get it, so I expect some new viewers and shoppers. Take care, Tracy. Well, thank you, Tracy. We appreciate your support. That's very kind of you. Send me a picture of you in the shirt, and I will post it on social media. You can purchase shirts and mugs and all sorts of different things up there. Tumblers at pushingthelimits.live. Again, that's pushingthelimits.live, where we also accept donations. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you would like to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to, let's see, who are we going to do next? Let's go to Jack. Jack is next up on PTL. Hey, Jack, what's going on?
Yo, Brian, what's up, man?
How you doing?
You brought up hypocrisy. I just it made me laugh because you got the Supreme Court overturns Roe versus Wade. MAGA's like, yeah, that's the Supreme Court, the law of the land, the highest court in the nation. And you had them overturn Joe Biden's tuition reimbursement. And, Supreme Court, that's the last straw. And now they got them losing 9-0 for due process.
Yep.
And then a 7-2 decision just, I think, 2 days ago. And now it's like, oh, well, Supreme Court's opinion. That's not a law. It makes me laugh. Like they thought they had. They're quick to tell you they had the House, the Senate, the presidency, and the Supreme Court. And now they want to get rid of like Amy Coney Barrett because she ruled the right way. It's just insanity.
Complete insanity. But again, I keep saying this over and over again, right? I share your same concerns, Jack, but it's going to get worse over the course of the next 3.5 years. And we have to understand that. We have to brace for it. And the midterms are so important. And listen, the next presidential election can't come around soon enough, my friend.
Yeah, the midterms are big, man. I'm telling I feel really good about it, though, man.
I do too.
I really do.
I do too, but we can't get. Listen. I thought that Kamala was going to win. I thought it was going to be a very close election. Boy, was I wrong about that. I mean, it was a close election, but she did not win, so we can't get complicit with it. Hiranuga on the YouTube Super Chat, thank you for your support, says it's people against cancer in all its forms. My sincere support to Joe Biden. What it strikes, little or not, we must face it together and stand strong. I agree with you, and I will also say that the real cancer is Donald Trump. He is a cancer to society. Thank you for your support. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to Armando. Armando is next up on PTL. Hi, Armando.
Oh, hi, Brian. I've got a prior diagnosis of these conditions. Remember his pathetic excuse for not enlisting in the armed services a while back?
Yes.
He had bone spurs.
Bone spurs, correct.
Well, so I've got a foothold on the real reason he was unable to enlist. And he was diagnosed with a serious case of flat feet. And so that's a rejection immediately. But I guess he was too embarrassed to announce that, so he told everybody he had bone spurs.
Well, here's what we know. We know that the doctor who wrote a fake bone spurs note, his daughters told some people on the record, some reporters, that was fake. The whole bone spurs thing was fake. So whether he had flat feet or not, you might be right. I don't know. We know one thing. His tummy certainly isn't flat. That's for sure.
Well, anyway, if you touch his feet, you see his shoes have.
Well, yeah. I mean, listen, your phone is a little cutting out. I apologize, but we know he has very small hands and very small feet. And you know what they say about men with small hands and small feet. Maybe we can ask Stormy Daniels about that 13-second excitement process that she went through. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Keith. Keith is next up on PTL. Hey, Keith, what's going on?
Hey, Brian. Happy Monday.
Thank you.
I got a little story for you about airplanes.
Okay.
The airplane that Qatar donated to us, America or whatever, had been sitting in a warehouse for 5 years collecting dust. They tried to sell it. Nobody wanted it. And this is not the first time they did this. They did it with Erdogan in Turkey. They had a plane they wanted to get rid of. Nobody wanted it. Nobody wanted to pay for it, and they donated to him. So this is the second time they pulled this thing, same sort of thing, of donating a plane to a foreign leader.
I'm not surprised to hear that, but it goes back to what I said in the first Donald Trump administration, which is as follows. Jared Kushner received $2.1 billion. We know that Mike Pompeo wasn't sent over there to the Saudis in the last 3 or 4 months of Donald Trump's administration. Guess who he sent over there? A guy by the name of Jared Kushner. And then all of a sudden, 5-6 months later, he receives a $2.1 billion check. But you see, MAGA Republicans don't want to talk about that. They want to talk about Burisma and Hunter Biden. They are the biggest hypocrite scumbags you will find. That's what it comes down to, Keith.
Yes, most definitely. I fight them every day on Twitter. I'm like your friend Ryan Shedd. I'm like him. You know, I do battle with them every day on Twitter. As a matter of fact, my name on Twitter is MAGA's Nightmare. So,
well, Ryan Shedd's a great guy, and I got some news for you. He's actually coming to Las Vegas, and he's going to be co-hosting with me in studio very soon. Ryan's a great guy.
Cool.
Yeah, Ryan's a good friend.
Cool.
He's a really good dude and a good guy, and he's had to dealt with a lot of the stuff you've had to dealt with, a lot of the stuff I've had to dealt with, and he's still going strong, and they've pretty much demonetized him on some platforms, and I feel bad for him on that. But I appreciate you calling in, my friend. It's good to hear from you, Keith. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, you take care. Again, the number to call, 702-221-7283. Let's go to Kim. Kim is next up on PTL. What's going on, Kim?
Hi, how are you?
Good. How's it going, Kim? What's on your mind?
Good. I love your show, first of all. I love it. I'm calling from Long Island, New York. And I guess my question is about this whole plane thing. Everyone keeps saying that Trump is saying it's for who I can't stand. I literally can't stand him. Just get that out there. I fight every day if my blood pressure's going. But if the plane is a gift, if Carolyn Levitt is saying the plane is a gift to the United States military, then why is he taking it with him?
She's claiming that it is a gift to the government and it'll be Air Force One. But here's the thing. It would take years for them, and I'm not exaggerating, years. They would have to literally
that's what I heard.
Take the plane apart piece by piece. You're accepting a plane from a group that supports Hamas. So that's number one. Here's what I believe is going to happen, okay? What I believe is going to happen is when Donald Trump leaves office, and listen, I don't know if he's going to run as vice president, in 2028. It could happen. But if he doesn't run for office again, I believe he's going to take this plane with him. I do believe that's going to happen. I don't believe he's going to leave it to some library. I don't believe he's going to leave it for the government in any way for the next president to use, especially not if it's a Democrat that wins. Can you imagine Donald Trump? Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, J.D. Vance is running against Josh Shapiro. And let's just say delusions of grandeur, but let's just say that Josh Shapiro wins in a landslide, which I hope he would. You think Donald Trump would hand over this plane, this $400 million plane, to Josh Shapiro?
No, never. I don't even think he would hand it over to J.D. Vance.
Maybe
I
not.
think he's completely for himself.
Maybe
I
not.
really do.
You might be right on that. And unless he was the vice president, you might be right on that. I agree. So anybody out there who says this isn't a gift is a joke.
Why is nobody asking Caroline Levitt, like, oh, so it's a gift for the military, so he's going to leave it here for the military?
Right. It's an absolute
joke.
It's a joke.
And then, my next question was about the you were talking before about his report with the body fat.
Yes.
I mean, with his
Yeah.
Well, he listed on there that his body fat was 4.8%. and I saw these memes of these bodybuilders who were 4.8%.
Shaquille O'Neal isn't even at. Shaquille O'Neal wasn't even at 4.8% when he was in his prime.
Exactly. Like, nobody checks him. Nobody says, don't put that because that won't be believable, but he doesn't care.
Listen.
And I'm tired of MAGA crying about the prices. Oh, Trump is going to bring everything down for the American people. We've got the parade. We've got the golf. We've got the Super Bowl, the racetrack, the plane. I don't see any savings.
No, neither do I. It's an absolute joke. And by the way, you want to talk about insecurity over a body, and more insecure than a 12-year-old girl. All due respect to 12-year-old girls. Donald Trump is the guy who wakes up in the morning. He tries to hide his face with 8 layers of orange makeup. And then after he does that, he combs his fake hair. How do we know that? Because Donald Trump has had 4 hair transplants. And then he puts on his and then he puts on his girdle, and he walks around like the clown that he is, looking like he's looking for a job at Circus.
I mean, it's just...
Yeah, because he's insecure. He's a mentally ill man, brought on, I'm sure, by his family, particularly his father, the late Fred Trump, who was arrested at a Klan rally. Listen, this is a guy who is probably the most insecure man on the planet. Maybe Kim Jong-un would be a close second. And this is the guy that, again, he tells everybody, make sure you tell them my physical was perfect. Everything's perfect with Donald Trump. He's a despicable, disgusting man on the inside and out. That's what it is. That would be like calling Marjorie Taylor Greene a supermodel. Donald Trump is in great physical condition, like Marjorie Taylor Greene is a supermodel. Give me a break.
I know.
Break.
I was happy to see that he didn't post something nasty, but of course his son did about Biden. But it was clear he didn't write that post. It was too well put together.
Yeah.
Like his rants are just, he just babbles. I can't even listen to him.
I agree with you. I can't either, but I have to. It's my job. I appreciate the call. 702-221-SAVE. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Pat. Pat is next. Hey, Pat, what's going on?
Hey, Brian. How you doing today?
Hey, doing good, Pat. What you got for me today?
Good. Pat from Maryland. I am sick of the news because everywhere Trump goes, he falls asleep, and they are not putting it on the news.
Sleepy Trump.
Went overseas.
The sleepy orange orangutan.
Exactly. They were Sleepy Biden.
Right.
Now he's sitting up over there with them, sitting up at the desk, going to sleep.
Yeah.
And they don't
listen,
cover that.
Listen, this is not anything new because allegedly, according to Stormy Daniels, he fell asleep after 13 seconds. So,
I don't blame her.
Yeah,
I would have faked it if I wasn't sleeping.
That's true. Yeah, the guy falls asleep everywhere. And, Joe Biden takes a look at his watch, and you'll still hear about that. But, Donald Trump is the guy that doesn't show up to 4 heroes. Their bodies were taken back here to the United States of America, where they lost their lives in Lithuania, I believe. And Donald Trump decided to hang out with a bunch of live people on his golf course at not Mar-a-Lago, I'm sorry, at Doral Golf Course in Florida. And he skipped on honoring the heroes who lost their lives. But MAGA Republicans want to talk about, Joe Biden, he looked at his watch. It's so ridiculous.
Exactly. Did you see him playing golf? I don't know where it was, but he hit the ball and it bounces and goes in the woods.
Did you see his golf swing? The guy can't even swing a golf club. He's so morbidly obese. He's got a worse swing than Charles Barkley. The guy can't even swing a golf club. Oh, but he's the club champion though. He's Donnie's the club champion. Let me tell you something. I once did an interview with Oscar De La Hoya. It was in 2015, and TMZ picked it up. And Oscar De La Hoya told me all the times he played golf with Donald Trump, the guy cheats everywhere. He cheats in life. He cheats on the golf course. Yeah.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Well, thank you, my dear.
Yeah, when I saw him swing that golf thing, and the ball popped up and went over in the woods, I'm like, this man cannot play golf.
He plays golf about as well as he's treated women in his life and tells the truth. Thank you for the phone call, my dear. I appreciate you. Let's go to Christy. Christy's next up on PTL. Hi, Christy.
Hey, I just wanted to make a correction. The guy that said that Trump had flat feet, there's pictures of Trump's feet online.
Mm-hmm.
You can look it up. He does not have flat feet.
Well, I didn't. Yeah, and I don't know if that's true or not. What I do know is that he dodged the military multiple times. We know that for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, anybody that knows anything about flat feet, you can look at the pictures.
He's Christy. He's definitely not flat-chested either. We know that.
No, absolutely not.
He's definitely. What would you say? Would you say like a C cup? I don't know. What is Donald Trump?
Probably so. Yeah, probably so. I mean, you can see through the shirts that he wears when he is playing golf.
So
you can
disgusting.
tell.
Oh,
He
it's
needs to
so
be
gross.
wearing something.
It's so gross. So gross. Oh.
I just wanted to say I laughed so hard at Don Jr.'s post that he put on that he tweeted about Jill Biden not catching Joe Biden's cancer. These people cannot tell the difference. They're so stupid that they don't know the difference in an educational doctorate from being a doctor of science, a medical doctor. I mean, most normal people know the difference.
Oh, yeah, no question about that. You know, I'm going to read you as I put my glasses on because I'm getting old. This is what Donald Trump Jr. tweeted out, as I call him, Donald Trump's two sons, Uday and Kusei, also known as Don Jr. and Eric. So Don Jr. writes, Biff, I call him Biff too. So Biff says, what I want to know is how did Dr. Jill Biden miss stage 5 metastatic cancer, or is this yet another cover-up? He's so stupid. He has absolutely no idea what he's talking about. And it's
I don't know what he thinks that they do in private, but I don't think she's sitting around with her finger up his butt to feel anything. That would require a medical license.
Of course. Of course. I mean, listen, it's ridiculous. My dear, I do appreciate your phone call. Thank you very much. And as I've said before, and I will say again, these people have no idea what they're talking about. About 15 to, and I did research on this, real research, about 15 to 25% of prostate cancers can fly under the radar of PSA tests. All you got to do is look that up. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Daryl. Daryl is next up on PTL. Hey, Daryl, what's going on?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good.
I really want to thank you for having the show. I really appreciate you because you really keep it clean. Because I'm so disgusted. I'm angry inside. You know, I think I need to go to a therapist behind this damn election. You know.
Yeah, well, I'm right there.
You know,
trust me.
Going through some shit.
Trust me, I'm right there behind you.
All these lies. Look at me.
If you have a good therapist, let me know. I definitely need one. So yeah, I'm right there behind you on that one.
I'm 60. And I don't even know what my PSA is good. You know, I work.
Right, hold on. Let's listen. I can give good advice, but I cannot take it. Tell me why you're feeling the way you're feeling. What do you watch Fox News? Do you watch Newsmax? What
Oh
trigger?
no, hell no. I can't even watch regular news
Okay,
anymore.
so tell me what's triggering you the most?
Just seeing his mouth and the dumb legislation between the Saudi stuff and Qatar.
Yeah, I understand.
Dubai, the rest of these guys. He's making all these deals and stuff. You know, that's straight.
I understand. Okay, I understand. What you're feeling is very normal. What are the things you like to do in life? What are the things that make you happy?
Well, I'm retired now. I just like to enjoy my day. But now, I've never been to the point where I got to worry about my Social Security check being in the.
I understand. Listen,
the thing with
you don't have to validate any of your frustration with me. I'm right there with you. I agree with you on everything you've said, and it's very understandable. I'm just trying to figure out what are the things in life that make you happy. What makes you happy? Are you married?
Yeah, I'm married. Yeah.
Okay, you love your wife?
I'm happily married. All that stuff is good.
So maybe go out with your wife, go to some dinners, go to some shows, maybe, go to a picnic. play golf. I don't know. There are things you can do to make. I need to take my own advice, which I don't, by the way.
Yeah.
But I'm good at giving it out, but
You
I
got
don't
a
take
strong
it.
point.
Yeah. Yeah, just do the things
I'm
that make
telling
you happy.
Like I got anxiety or something behind all this stuff here. And then you get some dummy that opens his mouth and talk like so one of these MAGA that could be black or white. I don't understand what color you are. I give them full. I go 0 to 60 on those guys. You know?
Well, listen, I'm gonna give you a personal thing here. I have never had anxiety attacks. I've always been a little bit claustrophobic when I get on an airplane, but I always seem to get through it. And lately, yes, I've had a little bit of anxiety as well. I don't like what's happening in this country. There are other things in my life, of course, but it's very stressful to have to deal with what Donald Trump is doing and the damage he's causing this country. So I very understandable what you're going through. We're all going through it. I'm a human being that goes through it as well. The difference between you and me is I have to follow the news and I have to talk about it every day. And that can be very difficult sometimes. And, among other issues that we have in life, the ups and downs. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the program. Let's go to William. William is next on PTL. Hi, William.
Brian, how are you?
Oh, I'm hanging in there. My friend. How are you?
I was a little worried about you last week, but you seem to have calmed down a little.
Not really. I'm hanging in there.
Good. So I'm going to drop by a little something for you for reaching 100,000.
Oh, that's so nice of you. And if those of you that don't know, this is a very generous man. His name is William. I've met him before. He's a very nice man. He's a big supporter of the show, and I'm very honored that he is a listener because he's a wonderful man, and I appreciate you, William. That's very nice of you. Thank you.
Okay, so I have one thing I just want to ask you about.
Sure.
Okay. Comey with the 8647, should he lose his government pension on the spot?
No. And here's why. Everybody who works, here's why. It's a good question. Here's why. Every person has the right to have a political opinion. 86 is not violent in any way. Anybody who knows what that means, you're 86th from a restaurant, you're 86th from a gas station, you're 86th from a casino. It means you're kicked out. It's got no criminality to it. It just means you're getting kicked out. If somebody says, 8647, what it means is, get him out of office. Who knows? Impeach him. There's nothing violent to it. And you're going to want to listen to the first segment tomorrow because I have a guy on by the name of Ed Krasenstein from the Krasenstein brothers. Very popular on social media, very successful guy, millions of followers. The FBI showed up at his place the other day because he posted on social media 8647. There's nothing violent. It's not a threat. It's just simply intimidation. So to answer your question, no. If you're right, 8647, there's nothing violent to that. It's not a threat. It means let's get him out of there, and that could mean a number of different things. It could mean have a good midterm election. Let's get him out of there and let's have a good midterm election. It could mean impeachment. Who knows? But there's nothing violent to that statement, in my opinion.
Oh, okay. And then how are we going to get your audience to get you to 200 faster than 100?
Well, that's
what do we need to do?
That's a really good question. By the end of the year, I think we'll be getting there. I have good news for you. We're almost at 110,000. So
that's good.
Yeah, I just passed 100,000. What would you say, William? It was a few weeks ago?
Yeah, I'd say a week ago Thursday.
I'm at 109,000 now. I'm almost 109. I'm almost at 110,000. So that's 10,000. That's 10,000 subscribers in a little less than 2 weeks. So I'm very proud of that. Yeah.
No, that's very good, but I do worry about you sometimes.
Well, I'll tell you what, William. I'll tell you something. When things are not going great in my personal life, they seem to go great in my professional life. When things are not going great in my professional life, sometimes they seem to go great in my personal life. It's very rare that both are happening at the same time, but I learned to live with it. That's part of life, man. That's part of life.
So is your other half getting better, hopefully?
Is my other half getting better? Are you meaning a wife? Because I'm not married.
No. Your other half, personal.
Oh, well, I don't really have another half per se, but I do have a friend that is in the hospital.
You know what? You're not alone.
Yeah, I do have a friend that is dear to my heart that is actually in the hospital, and that's part of what I was talking about when personal stuff. So I do have some other stuff going on, but that was one of the issues. So yes, I appreciate you saying that. Thank you.
And hopefully they've had a good life. That's what it comes down to.
No question. Well, William, it's good to hear from you, my friend. I look forward to seeing you here, okay? I appreciate you. Thank you, William.
Okay, and I'll stop by today or tomorrow.
Thank you, William. You're the best, my friend. I really do appreciate you.
Bye.
Thank you, William. Very generous man. Very good man, William. We got into it last time a little bit because on the Donald Trump stuff, but William's a really nice man, and I really do appreciate him. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. You know, it's interesting because somebody just said something funny on YouTube. Brian, son of a gun, are you on the market? I guess you could say I am, to an extent. To an extent. To an extent. But a lot of my issues in my personal life are usually with people in my past. Either people that I can't get over, people that I still love, people that maybe I shouldn't be talking to that I still talk to, if you catch my drift on that. So that's partially some of the things that, you know, a lot of human beings go through that I've been going through. We're all human beings. I talk about my personal life on this show all the time, and that's not going to change. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Luciano. Luciano is next up on PTL. What's going on?
Hey, hi there. How are you?
I'm doing okay, my friend. What's on your mind today?
Oh, I usually go over a little thing going on with Mr. Trump.
Yeah.
When it comes to Trump, he's a baby. But when his son attacked the ex-president, Joe Biden, because he got cancer, he go to his social media and claim that his wife supposed to cut his disease, the cancer, ahead of time.
Right, correct.
Knowing that she is a doctor in education.
Yeah, correct. You know, listen, the idea that his wife would keep this quiet and that the administration would keep something like this quiet makes anybody an imbecile if they actually believe that. It's so stupid. And these people have zero credibility. It's the same people that think Donald Trump is in perfect physical condition. I mean, give me a break. Do you remember when he went to Walter Reed and we never got any information on that? Yeah, that was a cover-up. So, listen, or when he got COVID and the guy could barely breathe for a couple days, that was a cover-up. You know, that's what we're dealing with here. That's what we're dealing with.
I know, but when we have some people like that kind of disease, like, you know, it might be his final day in this planet.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be kind. You need to be kind, especially. Like, you know, you're in the higher level on this country. You're one of the son of the president. You know what I mean? You got to mention the word when you're talking, you know what I mean? Especially when you go to X or whatever you call Twitter or whatever. You know what I mean? It's very dangerous. No, it's not helpful to this nation, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you're right. Listen, I agree with you, my friend, and I appreciate your phone call. And I'm glad you point that out. We all need to point out the fact that these MAGA Republicans that are attacking the Biden family after announcing he has cancer are despicable. And don't forget that. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to Leslie. Leslie is next up on PTL. Hi, Leslie. What's going on?
Hey there. First time I've heard your show.
Oh.
It was recommended by a friend, and I am definitely enjoying it.
Oh, boy, your friend just wants to torture you, I guess. Jeez. I'm kidding. Where are you calling from, Leslie?
Utah.
Oh, not too far from Vegas. Home of the Mormons,
Not
right?
too
Home of the
far.
Mormons. Home of Mitt
Well,
Romney.
Well, Mitt Romney, but I'm not Mormon personally, but that's
Fair enough.
okay.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I just have been listening, and we all have the same complaints about the monster in office.
Yep.
And my question keeps coming up, and I never seem to get an answer, is why on earth is he still in office?
Because there's a lot of stupid people in this country, and there's a lot of corrupt.
But,
There's
no,
a lot of,
I understand why he got elected.
Right.
But he's broken so many laws. He's ignoring
Because the
courts,
Supreme Court,
including
because the conservative Supreme Court ruled to give him immunity.
I agree with that, but he is not following other orders that they are giving.
Well, because a lot
And
of the
that's breaking the law.
because a lot of the conservatives on the Supreme Court are in there because of Donald Trump.
I understand that.
You defy
But
Donald
when you
Trump,
get
you're done.
Yeah, but when you get seven judges, well, how many? Three conservatives telling him, no, you can't do that. This is what you have to do. And he ignores that.
Yep.
I don't care if they're conservative or liberal.
Well,
he's ignoring their order.
Well, as a whole, Republicans have no backbone. They're cowards. They have allowed Donald Trump to hijack the entire Republican Party. They have allowed him to defy the Supreme Court, to defy judges and attack judges, and to rip up parts of the Constitution, giving people no due process. So they care more about staying in power themselves than they care about our Constitution. So I don't want to hear any of these MAGA Republican buffoons talk about the Constitution and how they want to uphold the Constitution. They took an oath, and they have broken that oath because their oath is only to a Sir Orange orangutan.
And I understand that, and I agree with you 100%. But they don't follow any rules. They don't follow the law. So there's got to be a way that we can get him out of office because he's breaking the law.
I just don't. I hear what you're saying, and I don't disagree with you, Leslie. But the problem is that Donald Trump has immunity. The Republicans are running the House and the Senate. He's the president of the United States. We could have 5 impeachments, and it's not going to change anything. He's still going to be the president of the United States. I totally agree with you, and I understand what you're saying. But for us, it's just a pipe dream. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. 702-221-7283, the number to call. Let's go to Carl. Carl is next up on PTL. Hey, Carl, what's going on?
Yeah. Listen, somebody already brought up the point I was going to talk about, but the Comey thing. He was the ex-director of the FBI, and he put on one of his Facebook things. He says 8647. Well, obviously, what you even said, that means to throw out the number 47. And yet, I just heard Trump on the television at an interview said that what Comey means is they want to assassinate me. I mean, it's the most ridiculous thing in the world. I mean, Trump's Secret Service is now trying to investigate Comey, plus the FBI, which is in charge, which has a director now who doesn't belong there either. They're trying to investigate Comey, and all he meant was have him thrown out of office. Period.
Well,
that's it.
I understand that, and Comey is correct on that. I'm not a big Comey fan, but to take a picture like that and to turn it into such a whirlwind where the MAGA Republicans are up in arms over it. And like I said, Carl, Ed Krasenstein's going to join us on the show tomorrow, and the FBI knocked on his door because he tweeted out 8647. Think about all the people who tweeted out 8646, Matt Gaetz being one of them. It's interesting, right? They didn't get any visits from the FBI. Why are left-wingers getting that? I don't understand that. 702-221-7283, the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. So I did mention earlier, since we're getting towards the end of the show here, I went to the EDC show over the weekend. Now, I had a very interesting Friday. And without getting too much into detail over the course of the last several days, because I am a human being and because I open up my heart to people and because I'm very honest about my personal life, I consider the radio show part of my personal life. So I was engaged once. Yes, I was. This was about 9 or 10 years ago, I believe. And, always wished her the best. I know she feels the same way about me. We haven't talked in a couple years. And, when I love somebody and when I care about somebody, I want them in my life. And that was a little hard to take, but for the last couple of years, we haven't spoken. And then I saw her on a reality TV show. And when I saw her on that reality TV show, I said to myself, it'd be nice to get back in touch. But you also have to think about the other person. Do they want you to talk to them? So I've been kind of like rolling with that in my head. Along with that, a friend of mine is in the hospital, a dear friend of mine, and that's been very difficult to deal with as well. And listen, all the Trump stuff, I can deal with that. This is my job. I do a radio show every day. Sometimes it gets a little stressful. So my friend said to me, hey, Brian, I can tell that you're a little down. I can tell that you're struggling a little bit. Come on, I got an extra ticket for you. Come out with me to EDC. And we had a group of people, several other people as well. And we all went out there and it was a good time. It was a good way to get your mind off of things, And that's what I did. And I had a good time. It was not the music that I really enjoy, to be honest with you, but I was around good people and that's what made it better. It was very loud. I had the earplugs in. There's a lot of walking, which I need the exercise because I don't want to start looking like Donald Trump. But I had a lot of fun. I had a good time. I caught a concert over the weekend. I went to EDC. I don't really consider that a concert, but I had a good time, and I'm lucky that I have some really good friends around me. So dealing with an ex that I still love, no question about that, but I don't talk to right now. So dealing with an ex and dealing with those emotions and dealing with a close friend that's in the hospital, it's a lot. Life comes at you really fast sometimes. And both of these things were completely unexpected. It's not like, I was dealing with this last week. So I think the most important most important thing is knowing that you need to heal, knowing that you have your friends, knowing that I'm very lucky. I have a lot of great friends. So anyway, it was fun. I like keeping people in my life. Not everybody's like me. But I think it's important. I think it's important to keep people near and dear to your heart, no matter how things ended between somebody. I think it's important to check in with them once in a while, and I try to do that with people. So that's our show, everybody. Tomorrow we have Ed Krasenstein that's going to be joining us. He was knocked on his door by the FBI because he said 8647. Absolutely ridiculous. We're going to start the show with him tomorrow. We'll have plenty of other stuff to talk about. I love you guys. Thank you for your support. Everybody on the YouTube chat, pushingthelimits.live. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody. Have a great day.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pop?